So, ladies and gentlemen, we are long overdue for one of my infamous movie rants disguised as a movie review. And in this one, we are talking about a movie called Hollow Road on Hulu. Let me paint you a picture, okay? So, I'm making dinner last night. I get a phone notification, and the article says that this is one of the most underrated thrillers of the decade. The movie has an ending that still haunts them to this day. The movie's called Hollow Road. Now, I don't know what type of nightmares this guy has because I was haunted by how terrible this ending is, as I will get into in just a second. The level of dishonest media we have gotten to, I feel like that's a topic for a whole nother video at this point. And a lot of the time, like Long Legs and a lot of other movies that get overhyped, people go to see these things because they don't watch as many movies as you and I. They get psyched up by these reviews and they go there and they just feel disenfranchised, like they are been lied to. And I feel like this is another time you have a mass-produced article of an author's opinion where they're talking about a movie that not only do I not like this film, but the majority of fans don't like this film. It's under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. And like you guys, I don't go to film festivals. I don't have the time nor money, so I put these movies in my back pocket based on recommendations. Even a couple of YouTubers I trust and respect, they hype this movie up, so when it comes to streaming or theaters, do not miss Hollow Road. This movie, it'll blow your mind. Such an effective thriller. Just another example, I feel like, of just diluting the discourse around movies by making everything the greatest thing ever, everything the worst thing ever. And it made me want to talk about this movie in specific because this is like the poster child for this argument. Let's talk about it. So Hollow Road is directed by Babak Anvari and stars Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys. In this film, it follows a couple of parents played by those two, and they have a daughter named Alice who's going to give them a call in the middle of the night and let them know that something very terrible has happened, and they're going to have to rush out to her aid at 4 a.m. in the middle of the forest. And what makes this movie pretty unique compared to a lot of thrillers that have attempted a plot like that, this movie is not very visual. It's mostly imagination driven. I'm actually pretty vocally in support of this movement, using our imaginations more. There's been a couple of movies this year I thoroughly enjoyed, like Undertone. Not a lot of people seem to like that one. Where the director puts the onus on the audience members to kind of fill in the horror and get the suspense for what they can possibly visualize based on the conversations being had on screen. Not a whole lot is shown here visually. It's almost all, I'd say, like 95% over a cell phone call. What you have happening is you have these parents rushing out to the aid of their daughter, and as they're driving about 100 miles in the middle of the night, he's explaining what happened, how she hit this girl, and they're going over this giant cover-up of what they're going to do to get out of the situation. A topic we can all relate to. If a loved one or a friend called us in the middle of the night and we had to go help them and we had to fill in the blanks, just how we're being explained it. And I think that's a very effective medium once again. I am a person, if you follow my channel, I'm very visual. I love the creation of the jump scare. I love tension. And I also like to use my imagination because, as I've said, I think the imagination doesn't really adhere to logic. The same way we can visualize a 500-foot bug, we can fill in basically anything that would be our fear into the situation of this movie. You'd never want to be presented with this situation, so the movie is kind of cheating in a sense. It's such an effective setup. I really can see why people were bought into this movie and said, oh yeah, this is an effective thriller. I also think the performances of this movie are great, especially Rosamund Pike, who you will probably know from Gone Girl as the single most insufferable woman on screen ever. The dad as well, he's pretty good. It's important you have this backbone as the movie because when you're in this situation, if you don't care about this family, this daughter, you're going nowhere here. But I think the entire cast here sells you on the stakes of this situation. The parents are involved. The daughter is devastated. It makes you feel like this is a situation that could actually happen. So you are bought in, the suspense, the tension is real. This is also one of the biggest examples ever, which is why I actually wanted to talk about this movie and talk about some of these review topics in this video, of a movie that has a central arc that is very engaging. The majority of audience members probably really enjoyed this film for about 30 minutes. And then you figure out what the point of this film is. Or maybe you don't even figure it out because the ending of this movie is so ambiguous it almost requires homework. But you figure out what's going on, and then at that point, this movie falls off a fucking cliff. And I understand the frustration of audience members, even as somebody who has a channel and watches so many movies, because you have such an effective setup. The performances are great. Your imagination is firing on all cylinders. What's going on in Hollow Road? What did she get involved in? How are they going to get out of this? And then the movie decides to take a giant sharp U-turn, and you don't know really where it's going, but you're like, all right, I'll play ball. They start introducing plot lines and characters, almost Disney villain-esque, where you're like, what are we doing here? What happened to all of the effective things from the previous 30 minutes? Up until the point you get to an ending that they explain to you because it's supposed to be ambiguous. It's supposed to be metaphorical, trauma related, and they give you an answer to it. But even when you get that answer, you're left saying, I kind of still don't understand it. And if you follow my channel, I have also said on here numerous times, I land somewhere in the middle. Sometimes I get a movie like this and I'm engrossed. I want to do my homework. I want to know more. And other times I just leave going, fuck off. I don't care about your movie. I'm not doing homework. This is in the latter. This is one of the times where not only do I not concretely understand what the point of the movie is, but I have no interest of looking up the answers to this movie, if there are even answers, because they give you answers. But as an audience member, you almost feel like there's no possible way those answers suffice. There has to be something more to it than that, right? Again, nothing really goes on in this movie visually. You just have two people driving down a road at a very brisk snail's pace, may I add. If I was in this situation, I would be pedal to the metal a lot more than this. But regardless, you buy into it. The conversation is effective. You understand and you sympathize with every character in this movie. You wonder what you would do in this situation. And then you get to a giant reveal, if you even can call it that, and you just start scratching your head going, I watch people drive around in a car for an hour for that shit. And it's just a frustrating experience as an audience member. And I understand why audience members rank this movie low, because it is so good in certain points. It's fantastic at other points. This is another example of a movie, especially a thriller or a horror movie, that starts off amazing, falls off a cliff. The parts individually are a lot better than the sum of them all, because when you put them all together, you get a completely discombobulated story that just feels like, quite frankly, it had no reason to be told. Again, this is just another movie that frustrated me based on the way people talked about this movie. I've heard 10 different people say this is one of the most effective and pulse-pounding thrillers ever. It's effective for what it's trying to do. It's never some movie that's going to give you a heart attack. It's the same thing that happened with Longlegs when it pissed people off. I really do sympathize for the casual movie fan nowadays as somebody who sees so many movies, and I know you guys see a lot as well, but the people who don't see a lot of films, they get articles like this. They go to the movie theaters and they rush out and they go, this is the one movie of the last 6 months I want to spend money on. I'm sold by the marketing. And they get there and then they just leave scratching their head like they're almost being fucked with by the critics or the marketing. And it's like, screw you guys, man. Like, there's no way any self-honest or self-respecting person would talk about something the way that article talked about this movie. It's just the most mid movie ever. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Maybe I'm just personally frustrated by the way we talk about movies nowadays. Maybe I feel duped myself because I kind of waited for this movie for so long. I heard so much buzz over the past year itself. And I just watched this movie still with the mindset of an everyday movie fan who just talks about them and covers them a lot, saying, this is such bullshit, man. Like, can we stop doing this about every movie that has 5 minutes of decent scenery in it? I mean, there are parts of this movie that are good, but my God, it is not even close to one of the best of the decade. It's exactly where it's supposed to be, right on streaming. If you said it came there, I would have believed you. So I know this movie came out last year, but if you checked it out when it came to streaming last week like me, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the movie. Did you think it was as big of a mess as me, or do you think this movie oddly worked? As always, if you like this review, my name is Sean. Like, comment, subscribe, hype the video, join the channel down below. If you want to support me, become a channel member. It helps me make content and continue this channel. So, hey, I will see you guys in the next review. Peace.